You run it through
Delicious.
bread.
Hello, everyone. Cheers. Welcome back to talking about werewolves. Let's try to get Iggy in frame a little bit.
No.
No? Oh my god, we're echoing.
Audio feedback.
Audio feedback. Why are we audio feedbacking?
Yeah, but we're on time when it comes to video.
Do you
There
have
we
both
go.
mics on?
We do. Now we're good. I fixed
He
it.
has
Okay.
two of the
Yeah.
things on.
Hey, everybody.
I have to try the red wine because it says it is red.
It does say it is
You
red.
can always trust the red wine with the word
Red in
on
it, yeah.
Turns out it tastes fine, but it's not even red anymore.
Oh, hello, everyone. I'm Brian ANST
Weird.
APOC. With me is Bucky.
Oh, I'm in full summer mode now. It's just going to be A-line t-shirts.
Here we go,
and
here
open
we go.
button-downs.
Here we go.
Oh, show us. It's that kind of webcast?
He wants to show
Watch
you
our viewership.
look how
Stop.
low look how low he doesn't shave.
Thanks.
Ladies.
Also, we have Iggy. Say hello, Iggy.
I'm barely here. You don't even really have me. This is a ghost.
It's fair.
So we're going to be talking about all sorts of fun stuff.
That was a water glass of tequila.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Have you met? This Brian. This is Iggy Brian. So,
So we've got some stuff we want to talk about today. I think today we're going to do a little general overview of what's new in the last couple of weeks.
Yep.
Then we're going to swing over, talk about the Black Furies. We're not going to dive into that.
finally
We'll
talk
never
about
get
a tribe.
Then we're going to swing through with a nice little bit we're going to do about designing an event game, where we're going to work with you guys to build an event game for funsies, just
See,
to
now
talk about the theory of building.
now I thought that I was going to present an idea to you, and that you were going to build a game around it. But
Right. The
but
only difference is we thought it might be better if the audience
was involved.
presents the idea.
What? Why do I care what those plebs think?
Well, they're right there.
Oh snap! They can hear me.
Yeah, they can totally hear
The
you.
mic's on.
Yeah. After that, if we still have time, I think we'll finally get around to our auspice discussion, which
Never happened.
is probably how we're going to be opening every show ever.
Is this
Well,
like the
hang
Matt
on.
Damon thing?
Can I just hijack this and just start in on? Here's the thing about playing Ragabash. All right? No.
Digression opening quick.
This is important. So we're just going to take an auspice and we're going to get this done. It's
Yeah.
one of my favorite auspices. I like the Ragabash.
Literally my least favorite auspice. Nope.
Oh.
I lied. They are just my least favorite.
That's fair. Here's the thing. One of the things I see the most about Ragabash is people using Ragabash as a reason to be offensive or just to mess with people. Where the auspicial role of a Ragabash has a lot more...
Why?
What is
It's
happening?
barely even vibrating anymore. You're not doing anything.
All right, guys, settle down. So anyway, your Ragabash is your when it comes to what's going on in the nation and amongst people of politics, is basically your prosecutor, if you will. They want to test the idea. It's the same Satan role that in Judeo-Christian thought. The opposition. Is this a good idea? Should we be doing this?
So
is this plan retarded?
Like the devil's advocate, but like not in like
No, and I'm saying in like a literal biblical allegory sense.
as opposed to like the Facebook MRA thing.
Right. They can ruin anything, even multiple regression analysis. Even my acronyms are stolen by those bastards. Can't even talk about fucking stats. Anyway,
Which is funny because you use them as a you said that they're prosecutorial in a sense, but they're the defense for the common man.
they're the defense for werewolves, whom Philodox play a dual role of prosecution judges. But when it comes to the general motif of werewolf, your Ragabash is supposed to be your questioner, your inquisitor, literally.
They want to get to the truth.
Right. They want to
Wait,
question
so they
the
prosecute the society, but they defend the individual, which is the kind of opposite of the Philodox. Where they
Yes.
prosecute
Oh,
the
that's
individual.
good. That's very
Absolutely.
good. That's very good.
And that's so it's less about just being a cheeky git, although the prankster god mythos and a lot of that other stuff, especially when dealing with different cultures' version of the pranksters and the different tribes, there's no one right or wrong way to play Ragabash, because for one tribe it might make sense, and for another tribe it might be just offensive. That said, you're supposed to help be making the nation work better. And the best tool, in my opinion, that the Ragabash have is, especially in this continuity, as written by BNS, is that they lost Like they were losing hard. They figured out a way to bootstrap some cairns to not be wiped out. So a lot of your traditionalists, and I'm not just talking about Sanctum of Gaia, I also mean the Concordat of Stars. Your people who are like, this is the way we do things because it's how we've always done them. The Ragabash always has the very reasonable argument of that didn't work.
Was put on the. I mean, every tradition. That's one of the things I just like about this. The new setting is just that being a traditionalist, you're automatically on the back foot.
Yes,
the
that is absolutely true.
The weight of tradition that you have is can be pointed at as a failure. Now I think you have two responses to that. One, not everybody. You could say like, this is the way we should have done it, and had everybody done it that way, we wouldn't be in the situation. But you guys half-assed it then, so we need a full-ass it now.
Which is that's an argument.
Or I
we
mean,
didn't do it hard enough.
Yeah, we did. We didn't kill each other enough to get it done.
Right.
Or you can go the other route, which is if you think what we have now is losing, the only reason we even have the marginal victories that we have had is because of the traditions. If we had let those go by the wayside, there wouldn't be enough of us left to complain.
I think for me, there's also this juxtaposition of what you want to play and what necessarily can be played well by any individual. And what I mean by that is part of role-playing, if you're going to want to get a lot out of it, right, you want the personal role-playing challenge, is sometimes playing against your type. If you feel a lot of empathy with the trickster, clever character, challenge yourself and play somebody who's going to be genuine. Because just playing yourself or yourself dialed to 11 is, while there's plenty of fantasy fulfillment there, sort of undercuts all of the RP aspects of being in any particular auspice, especially Ragabash. Like, they have such, in all the auspices do, but they have such integral roles in the society.
Mm-hmm.
And more so even than your tribe. Your tribes have been made more pluralistic. The tribes have been improved and are more open. But your auspices, you have to bring your A game to your auspice play. Right? You have to really try to philodox well, really theurge well. If you're going to be it's a caste society. If you're going to be a member of the king priests who gets to talk to the gods, as it were, and while that's been opened up somewhat, it's still, the moon said that these are the people who speak to totems. Not you. You do fighty things, you're a bureaucrat, and you keep questioning things. But we want to talk to your the priestly class, right? Always bring your A game with your auspicial play. I would say more so, definitely more than breed, but even more so than tribe at times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. Did you want to say anything about auspice, or just need to get that?
I just wanted to. No, I wanted to cover an auspice. All right.
Did you?
I think Ragabash.
Did you? Did you really?
Yeah. I think Ragabash.
No, I mean, we can talk about their gifts.
Do you think Ragabash make the best scouts?
Fun fact. They make better scouts now than ever. Because even in the old edition, it was like, well, the Ragabash are the scouts.
Really? The wolf said all the senses.
I was like, well, not just that, but the Philodox had all the good sensory gifts.
Mm-hmm.
And then Lupus got some, but they weren't really better than just being in Lupus form. Ragabash had no sensory gifts. So it was like, yeah, let's send these guys to the front who can't detect anything. They'll tell us what's going on. Like, they were very good at breaking into a bank. A completely mundane, non-magical bank with nothing supernatural.
Okay, I want to respond to one of the questions that we were putting from. Dark says, I have a question about the Fool position. We have groups of people / packs that are trying to seek out plots, etc. The Fool in our game thinks that all scouting operations need to be funneled through, assigned by the Fool before they happen, and otherwise is going against canon, and that's in quotes. Is that true, or is it totally fine for packs to take the initiative and do stuff on their own? I want this one.
Okay, you want to take it? Yeah. I'll respond if everything.
One first off, is using the word canon IC, because if so, punch him. But no? Alright. I guess there's something in the handbook about not hitting people. Oh. So if he's using that word OOC, you should reply with, the only power you have is the power that you can maintain. If everybody in the SEP gives sway to the idea that the Fool can assign is the only because the Fool can clearly assign
Well,
scouting missions.
I think
That is
right. They're saying is the inverse.
I'm getting that. I'm getting there. There's nothing that says that only the Fool may assign scouting missions,
Right.
or the only legitimate scouting missions are assigned by the Fool. It's
Right.
not the inverse.
I mean,
it's the converse.
if that's in a
I believe
stealth
converse.
change in the book, a player can definitely point
That's
it
the
out to
converse.
us, but
So-
I don't recall.
So what you need to do is to get the truth catcher on your side, and then when he says that, have the truth catcher point of order. No.
Right. You can do that.
Well, there's two separate arguments. There's the in-character argument where the Fool could be like, all scouting operations have to go through me.
And if he
I
has
am claiming that authority.
If he has the swank to pull that off, and you cede that ground, then you have no one to blame. but
However,
yourself.
out of character, they do not have. They have the authority to assign people to go on scouting operations. They do not have the authority to stop other people from going on scouting operations. Innately, they can claim whatever authority they want.
and they can also make fun of you when you fuck it up.
You know, that which isn't.
Yeah, that which is that,
right.
that which is not forbidden is allowed. Yeah.
Right. This would be sort of the flip side of that. If you're asking a legitimate book question, I don't recall reading it that way. I doubt they changed it.
No. The book is very clear that the Fool
It's
can
just
get
something
one
they
assigned.
can do. If your pack has a
it's-
Ragabash, you can be assigned scouting.
It's the Fool saying that and hoping that people let it slide.
Yeah, which is fine.
Which is fine.
That's
That's a political paragraph.
There are a lot of different games where a lot of different positions are doing something very, very similar, where they're saying this is in my purview, and hoping no one calls them on
Right.
that.
The important distinction, though, is if their character is saying that and trying to back it up with Sturm and Drang and powers and
Stare downs.
and stare downs and using renown, good on them.
That's awesome.
If the player's saying
This
it,
and
just be like, no,
and
that's
the
not a
I
real
have
argument.
a feeling that it's the
That's-
player saying it because they're using the word canon.
I would also.
Oh yeah, no, I guess
Also, the
so.
players make out of character complaints. The job isn't useful without this. I would argue the Fool is made of power.
The least powerful member of the Auspice Council is the Truth Catcher.
Or the Master of Rights.
No, Master of Rights has all kinds of shit. It's the Truth Catcher. The Fool has all kinds of power. The Fool can run
I
your
don't know
pack
what the bottom is. The fool
is up to the top because he can just command your whole pack. It's to the point.
I need you to do something extremely suicidal.
It's to the point where if you know the Fool dislikes you, you kick the Ragabash out of your pack.
Yeah, they.
It's like, nope.
No, the Fool is
Nope.
absolutely
Nope.
is up there with like
Listen,
the
listen.
Wormfoe as the dude who will get you killed.
Listen.
That is a tremendous.
You're
soft
my
power.
buddy. You're my brother. You're my tribe mate. But you're a Ragabash, and I just ticked off the Fool, and I cannot have you in my life.
You're out of at least for a month.
You can't have you in my life right now.
Okay.
I agree. The player has been continuously OOC complaining. Fuck him.
No, that's a
That is
problem.
not our position.
Talk to your,
That's my no. I don't. Once again, he has a position in the game that's I don't know. You guys made him king of all dorks. Bucky cares a lot about rules and stuff. I'm here to have fun, and my fun. This guy's shitting on other people's fun.
I don't.
So fuck him directly.
I also care about that.
You don't care about fun.
Yes, I do.
When?
I think it's
Why I do this?
my
To help.
response would be I think the
Other
player,
people
I think
can
it's a new
feel
system and the
things.
player just needs to be coached a little bit.
OOC complaining that their job isn't useful without this.
I think that it's a learning curve for all of us.
I don't know who they are. Maybe
Yeah,
they're
they are. I can't
maybe they're
prejudge.
slow.
He's just questioning their intellectual ability. I thought they were just a dick.
Why can't it be both?
Okay. Now,
This guy's dickish, and fuck him.
Well, no, because if you take a point that's patently wrong and you bring
Learning
it out
curve
of character,
for sure.
no, if it's a point that's patently wrong and you bring it out of character and you keep banging that drum,
And hopefully, you
even though other people are like, look, the book really, you can do this IC, just like we're saying, totally do what I see. It's a legitimate.
when you
political
do it
paragraph.
OOC, it's
If you
verging
keep-
on cheating.
It's not verging. You're metagaming at that point.
Yeah, but
You're trying to get people to agree with your cheating.
we've had this argument for the last 10 years where there's some types of metagaming I don't think is cheating, and there's some types that almost all types of metagaming. I think playing the table is totally legitimate in every card game.
yeah. I think
Oh no, we're not
That's
talking.
playing the table.
I don't.
That's playing the table. That's getting Corey to let me give myself and everybody else blood,
You can make the OOC argument that you can do this,
and that's what he's doing.
but no. But when you're saying it's canon, you're saying it's in the book. That is just demonstrably not
And
true.
also, why would he see? What you got to ask yourself is why would he say that it's canon and then say it's not useful without it? Because that second sentence is basically an admission that it's not in the book, and he wants it to be changed.
Well spotted. Well spotted. Don't try to get any sort of logical repugnance past this guy.
Having not heard the player's full argument, I can't take any large position on this, but I think you have a well-argued argument. Let's talk about Black Furies.
That tequila worked fast.
It's yes, it did.
So look at us burning through werewolf stuff because we're going to go
Look at us.
way off.
We are
topic.
so focused right
by
now.
the way, as an apology to the person who won the Changeling item, I haven't sent it yet, so don't look for your mail yet. I'm having kind of a rough month. But it's yours. I have it ready to go. I just have
Well,
to
as was mentioned last stream, that was right before Memorial Day.
I've had kind of a rough one.
Complete shit show.
Yeah, it's been rough around here for the last couple weeks.
I had a rough month as well.
Yeah, so
There's a lot of that.
we
going
haven't
on.
forgotten. It is definitely still yours.
Yeah.
It's fair.
Sorry.
It's an IOU.
No,
It's
no,
just a
that's fair. That's a fair point to cover. Let's talk about Furies. Ig, these are really your speciality. If you want to talk about the Furies a little
Now
bit.
that I've been drinking Game of Thrones red wine,
Yeah, tell us about
What
the
type of
Furies
wine
are.
is it?
it's red.
Red wine.
What kind of what? If you walk into a place and you say, "What type of wines do you have?" and they say red and white, get a beer.
It's actually technically speaking Paso Robles. Paso
Wow.
No, that's Paso Doble. Never mind.
Okay. Talk about Furies.
That
Oh, what about-
pronunciation's still not even
Tell
close
me
to
about
correct.
role playing as a Fury. What is the world like? Where are the Furies?
I
right
don't
now?
know about role playing as a Fury because I haven't had an opportunity in this Chronicle, and I wanted an opportunity last Chronicle, but somehow I got denied it.
This, I don't know what that's about. There was it's in the Lost episodes. We talked a lot about Furies.
I'm
One
a
of the
big fan.
things about Furies is in revised and for the stuff that they incorporated into this, the Black Furies always had the gift of being from revised up, very well written. They had a great tribe book.
The best tribe book.
The second best, but yeah,
So, ooh.
Strider.
The Strider's tribe book was really good, and it basically had no powers in it. It was all just well written stuff.
I read it, and that is why I think the Furies was better.
Well, okay, so
Moving on.
they're well written. They're classic. They're
I love
the reason that they have a lot of good themes, and they're not just their original casting as shape-changing feminazis.
Well, and we got to the end of it. We got to this at the end of the last one of the Lost episodes about the Furies. They're the ones that have shown better than anyone else true growth, like actual change,
Like the tribe is actually
like
grown up.
paying attention.
Mhm.
I mean, like you have the glass walkers that have become the new nobility, but that's just basically them stepping into the arrogance that they've always had.
Mhm.
Like you have other tribes but the Furies have taken this loss, and they consider it basically a loss from what I've gathered, and they decided to not let them change them or not let them force them into a static mold, but let them allow them an opportunity to grow.
Mhm.
And that growth is shown in letting men into the ranks. But they retain the original seed of their concept by preventing the men from being in a position of leadership, which I really like. Also, I mean, I'm not perfect by any means, and I really try hard to. But the tribe also makes a nod into being more inclusive because Pegasus accepts those with the heart of a woman, and that is
Yeah, well, it's an elegant
Solution to the problem. Of,
right. You don't have to have this pained and ultimately problematic conversation about the entire spectrum of LGBT issues. It's just like, nope, Pegasus says it's fine,
Yeah.
and you don't argue with the totem.
Mhm.
This stops everything from crummy players busting each other's chops to less than exceptional STs from being problematic. It's like it's right there in the book.
Pegasus says I'm going to
Pegasus is I'm in. Like
I've also had kind of a shine for the Black Furies ever since the original game when they were discussed. Because it seemed to me a little bit odd that in a game where you always talk about the godhead figures of your mythos in generally feminine terms, Gaia, the wild, the generative forces of life.
it
Not
was
that
hyper patriarchal. Literally everything else about it.
And it always struck me as weird in a game where it was about triads, Weaver, Wild, and Worm, that there isn't a matching triad throughout the other tribes. Like, why wouldn't you encapsulate that triad into your tribe? but the Furies did in the Maiden Mother Crone aspect, in the multiple calyxes aspect, in the there because it's taken into the new game and it wasn't the old game, but it was taken into the new game that there's no right one way to be a Fury.
Or to be anything.
Yes.
They really have broadened that out. They give a lot more guidelines and examples.
I want to see what they're saying.
And it's less, do this or you're wrong. And is that spinny thing, are we frozen?
No, that's not. It's just something else. We're fine.
Oh.
I never did complete that Fury. Tragic.
Let's shift to. I like their background. I like
Let's
their
talk
story.
about the mechanics.
Yes.
1 point merit. Again, we're back in the territory of awesome merits again. 1 point merit. Great. When you are among one or more Black Furies, you may substitute the highest willpower total from any one present.
Now, this might not be a huge thing at your game. There might not be multiple Furies at your game. But I guarantee you that if you're in an event game, you do not want to F with the Furies. Because they'll be... If I were a Fury player... If I were a Fury player and I was someone in a secondary submissive support role, I would go out to the rest of the Furies and say that, and I would what's the merit then?
It's the merit for extra willpower.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I have that merit for extra willpower. I'm not doing anything.
I'm not spending willpower.
Not a single willpower in any combat, and all I want you to do is use mine. I'm literally sitting here.
Yeah.
Well, you can do a ton of stuff. You're just not going to spend willpower.
I'm not spending willpower at all.
You still throw all the chops you want.
You can spend willpower after the fight's over and then take someone's advice and get that shit all back.
It sounds very small.
Spend willpower and get it back immediately.
Yeah, but the tactical gain from this power is incredible. Just absolutely.
It's useful in defense pools.
In many ways, in many situations, this ends up giving Black Furies essentially win all ties.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredibly powerful.
I'm gonna have the extra willpower. I'm
defense
not gonna spend. I'm not. Well, yes.
Yeah.
But that's when you want.
But as the fight goes on, your opponent's willpower goes down, and yours isn't.
Your
moving.
entire group, just has a static willpower of, let's just call it maximum, because if it's not, you've done something wrong as a group.
I'm sending a diplomatic envoy somewhere, and I know that it's a delicate social mission, and that they're going to be tested sorely. And one of those diplomats is doing nothing but reading her book, sitting in that room, not spending her willpower.
Yeah. Also, Furies can start on Rage 2 if they witness a violent crime or attack against another Fury.
We're talking about Furies. I'll be right back.
All right. Arrows of Artemis. Arrows of Artemis is the core of many, many sick combos. This is probably the most powerful of the 2 point merits. It's incredible. Basically, you carry a special connection to the goddess of the hunt, and you can channel your rage and beyond simple hand-to-hand. When using ranged weapons, such as guns, bows, spears, or thrown weapons, you gain the additional damage rage effect. I can't even express how powerful this is.
You are the best range fighters in the game. You're the best range fighters in your faction, absolutely, but you are the best range fighters in the game.
Well, this is part of the, me and Bucky spent a lot of time working to see if we can get a no-chop OTK. We couldn't, but Arrows of Artemis almost gets you there.
Well, I mean, you can get really close. You can get really close. What this gets you is a 1 turn kill, not a 1 round kill. Well, that's okay. It doesn't. 1 action kills are extremely difficult, and against other werewolves they don't exist because they're going to rage kill because they have a dot of survival. But
no, that's, as we have discovered, not always the case.
It was first event, first
session.
Someone else has made that mistake. I guarantee it.
Fair enough. But this can let you layer on grievous amounts of aggravation damage without chops. Which I think came as a shock to some people, and I was like, what world were you living in where the Black Furies weren't the best tribe at combat always? That has always sort of been a thing.
Yeah.
If they slow down their combat play and they really want to like snipe and use some of their later powers we're going to discuss, like coup de grace to stack another damage on top, and really sort of get the most out of it, they hit like a truck. And they can hit like a truck at like a mile away.
Yeah. And at the same time, they're maintaining their defensive rules with Sisters in Arms. Their 3 point merit is strong. Like many 3 point merits, it seems not as good as the 1s and 2s, but it is very good in its own way.
This one I'd actually say
It's great.
can be worth 3 points, even though it can't be used in
No.
combat.
All right, so here's my, and because I haven't looked at yours in a while. Here's my idea for a build. These two, the top two, or 1 and 3. Because 1 and 3 is you are the diplomat.
Yeah.
2 and 1 is you are the brawler.
Yep.
Everybody gets 1.
Also, the spending of fleeting wisdom to get an extra rank when dealing and discussing a matter politically, once the political game is sub-rule, is rolling very strong.
Like I said, and then having the ability to have, because the thing is, you have twins, you have 2 sisters, you have 2 literal sisters in this my make believe scenario.
Sure.
One of them is designed to fight, one of them is designed to be social. Both of them have sisters in arm. When it's a social thing, then you let the social character go, and she uses the other one's willpower. When it's a battle, and the one that's being fighting McFighters a lot is the only way to really beat her is to socially shut her down. She uses the diplomat's willpower because she's not using it for the retest. So whenever one of them is in the 4, the other one stops using their willpower for retests.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely.
It's just sick.
Sisters are. They're 1 point merit.
Everybody gets it. Everybody gets 1.
Oh yeah.
There's no reason.
If you're a Black Fury, you should have 1. You should almost definitely have 2.
You should.
The only one that's even optional.
You should splash for it. Like, just be like, whenever I'm around Black Furies as a red.
Here's the thing. Not every Black Fury needs 3. Right? Not every Black Fury needs the Cassandra every situation.
Not every Black Fury needs 2.
Or the politics.
Not every Black Fury needs 2.
That's true.
But every Black Fury should have 1.
Yeah, 1 is.
Could you imagine somebody having
good.
2 and 3, not 1?
No.
No.
That was bad.
Well, if you never go to an event game.
If you're the only Fury
If you're the only Fury in your game and you don't travel.
NPCs, no, you still get it.
Okay, yeah, I guess. Wow, yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Let's talk about gifts.
Perennially, the Black Fury gifts
I
have
gotta
been
see what they're saying.
great.
That has to be something.
Hang on for 1 second. Let's just check in. Black Furies are Sanctum of Gaia. Yep.
I see a nasty build on range. Black Furies, your friend. Violet Friends just started watching. I have no idea what that is.
And there are nasty builds.
I'd say they're the best range fighters in the game, and mass cons, honestly. As far as damage chop combo goes, the rage pump's so good. Most merits in the game are useful. Yeah, most of them aren't. Brian, alright, so weird.
Yeah, I mean they can hit easily for 6 ag with no chop.
Okay, the first
That's
one can
pretty
be
great.
difficult to explain. It's essential.
Delirium for Love is amazing.
Whoa, well, proceed. I was gonna have trouble explaining it, but you got it. Go.
Oh no! There's a whole bunch of moving parts of this power where you can learn about your target and blah, 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 blah. You get familiarity with them.
Yeah.
You get familiarity with your target. There are Wendigo builds that should just take tribal affinity just to get this power, because then they own
This
you.
doesn't give you familiarity.
It doesn't.
No. It doesn't.
Yeah.
No. Where?
Just read the whole power.
At the beginning of each round, you get a derangement trait as Chaotic Vision to assault your senses. While this power is active, you may spend your standard action to initiate an opposed challenge with anyone in your field of vision, or those who are not present but which you have familiarity.
Yep.
So
Keep reading.
Okay. If you succeed, you're able to make contact with your target's mind. You immediately learn your target's archetype and their emotional state, and get there it is. Yeah, and you get familiarity.
So why does anyone ever question?
I knew one of the Black Fury powers gave you familiarity. I wasn't sure.
I mess up the rules all the time.
Mostly that outfit. That's what causes the question.
Listen, the deeper towards the dog days of summer we get, the more like a Russian landlord I'm going to look like.
The less and less you're going to wear.
Yeah.
Soon you will be in a tracksuit squatting.
I will say that this power combos with like a dozen other gifts. It might not seem to be that impressive by itself,
Familiarity is so good.
but giving you familiarity in a lot of situations, you're giving someone a death sentence.
Just have familiarity. Go lupus and track us. It affects the trapping. It affects the tracking sub game. It affects just so many different things. Familiarity is just so good, and it's also like there's a what is it the Uktena have a 3-point merit. They're going to take off their face. All the powers on them turn off.
Yeah.
Anybody with familiarity with them loses it. Right until the Black Fury looks at you again. I mean, yeah, they're going to have to win a chop, but it's a good chop.
All right.
We didn't actually discuss what the chop is.
The chop is listed right in the power. It's social empathy, social will.
Yeah. Solid.
All right. Wasp talons. Use your standard action to attack with your claws at range. If you're using your claws, make a brawl attack at distance equal to 3 steps for every dot of athletics. You can use this for everything but grapple, trip, and disarm. Using this gift disengages the claws from your hands, and you're unable to make any further attacks with your claws until they regenerate at the beginning of the next turn.
So if I'm a brawl monkey, but I want to get that rage bump to damage, or is the rage bump to damage they get only with the range skill?
It's only with the range skill. This actually doesn't combo with the gift.
Okay.
Because it's specifically a brawl
This is
attack.
the only one of their powers I don't like, but it's
What's the
still
wit's focus?
Your claws immediately regenerate rather than growing back the next turn.
Is there a way that they can get silver talons?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, there's ways of comboing this power to make it
But
good.
it doesn't fit with their merit suite. It is a solid gift though. I think there's nothing wrong with this.
They're worse number 2s, but they're also better.
Yeah. If you want to be a brawling fury instead of a firearms fury, this keeps you in the.
You're-
You know what this is? This is like, hey Fury, oh you want to be a brawl fury and not a ranged fury? Okay, I respect that you want to make that build, but we're gonna make sure you can still range anyway.
You can still range attack it.
Yeah, because you have to be the best at range because you're a fury.
Right.
Curse of Aeolus.
I would say one of the best. Just this used to be de rigueur to have somebody had to have Curse of Aeolus. This it defends the veil. It keeps the veil from being lifted, so it defends the litany. It has amazing utility. It has huge AoE. It makes a big fog. Let's just sort of cut to the chase.
You just really like the idea of protecting the veil.
Well, yeah.
Well, if you're not doing it, then your Philodox players need to be talked to.
Wits focus.
Or when the doom clock ticks down, you have no one to blame but yourself.
Wits focus. Your opponents only have 1 step visibility. Your allies may see 3 steps.
Right. Bear in mind, you could be at the edge of your own Curse of Aeolus, which is pretty great because they might not be able to see you. You could just see the entire scene. It lasts basically forever. I think it's minutes.
Yeah.
It's a really good power. It's just so solid.
Yeah.
And it plays into almost every build they have, whether it's your melee monsters who just want to go just ham on somebody in war form, just killing everything, and nobody can see them. Then it's great power for that. If you want to sit on a rooftop and have a half-mile kill range, just sit at the edge of your own Curse of Aeolus, within 2 steps of the edge. Just make sure you have the focus. What's the focus for Curse of Aeolus?
Wits. It would be wits.
Oh, it's wits.
It's wits.
Well, why would some sort of sniping gun bunny have wits?
I don't know. It's weird.
Bizarre.
Coup de grace. For the next 5 turns, any physical attack you make against your target causes an additional point of damage.
It's good. It's slow.
Fizz in, but yeah, but you have to waste an action on it. Fizz in versus fizz dodge.
It's super slow, and the chop is garbage. But it's not bad power.
Why is the chop garbage?
Because you have to waste a combat action to get the extra point of damage.
That's slow. But
It's fizz investigation versus fizz dodge.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because dodge.
There's no way to get investigation even approaching the magnitude of scale dodge can be.
What's their 5th?
Dude, Gorgon. Oh, so you're going to use a 5th level power just to hit them with this? That's slow, and that's even worse.
For the next hour, Gorgon's Gaze, which is
Okay.
people talk about this one a lot.
I think it's also misunderstood.
I agree.
People think it's this massive AoE where everyone loses their dodge. It is not.
Spend 1 point of Gnosis to activate Gorgon's Gaze. The next hour, you become the living avatar of the Gorgon of legend and myth. Those in your presence cannot look directly at you beyond a fleeting glance, making you immune to all powers that require gaze and focus or line in sight to activate. If you have a target's gaze and focus, they cannot add their dodge skill to the defensive pool against you. And also appearance focus, -2 wild card, social.
No, there's ways of doing it. There's the was jokes about one of them.
Crazy Cat Lady.
You can do the Cat Lady Black Fury, who sect effects and gets the gaze and focus of everybody, and that's cool. But it's only against you, and you can only throw out so many actions in any given combat. And if you're going to spend one of them, you can either do 6 damage without a chop, or you can spend that action hopefully doing maybe 7 damage next chop. You have lost, for the potential to do 7, you've lost 6. So you could do 12, and you've chosen to do 7. It's too much comboing gets a little bit slow. Now, if it's before combat,
if you can power up this suite before combat.
Yeah.
If you're doing a PvE scene and your ST is like, yep, everybody power up all your powers now and just get some free action.
Just keep track of like all your power ups. Cool. It's a free damage. It's still not a good chop. I mean, investigation versus dodge is just so brutally not even It's so bad, but you can just win the chops. So it doesn't really matter how high the dodge pool is. Yeah.
So that's the Furies. They're a great tribe.
Hello.
I know. I agree. They're pretty great.
They are.
Yeah. Everyone should be playing them if you like Furies, which you should like them because they're amazing. So play more Furies. We need more Furies.
Also, the limit on being a male Fury and not going above rank 3 is such a non-issue.
I think a lot of characters will never go above rank 3 anyways because why?
Yeah.
No.
I mean,
wait. So I'm not above rank 3, but could I use that 3-point merit for that conversation where I need to be above 3 for a minute?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
You can rank 4 for that conversation.
Yeah, so I can be rank 4 for conversations. That's my downside.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Well, and the other thing, because it's not revised, you can still get Elder Gifts. All it is saying that you will pay a Gnosis tax on rank 4 and 5 gifts, and that you're never going to be in charge of the tribe.
Mm-hmm.
Which, that's right on the tin if you're a dude who's going to be in the Black Furies.
You know, walking in, you're probably not going to be President Black Fury.
Right, you're probably not going to be the tribal counselor for the Black Furies.
All right.
Look, we're just burning through this. Burning.
All right, let's talk about the craft, shall we? Let's talk about building a one shot. Let's give some thoughts to open up. What goes into
I
building?
like how it's 10 o'clock and my kid is way more awake than me.
Well,
Gosh, it's not
that's going to last the rest of your life.
It's not even fucking close. Oh my god.
It's okay. Bucky, you have a lot of thoughts here. What makes a good one shot? What makes a bad one shot?
No man can stay awake like this.
Okay, here's the thing about one-shots or event games.
Let's call event games for our purposes.
Well, right, because what we're talking about is equally, generally speaking, applicable to your werewolf game, your game of the month, your con games, all of that.
Did you find my keys for you?
If it is a different skill set than running your monthly game. And that's
a lot of the skills that you use in a monthly game to keep the story moving and keep things working play against you in an event game.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's a few things that you have to do as far as pre-planning. Well, that's another thing. Let's just start there. You have to have a plan. You have to have several plans going into an event. All right, and you have to take into account the different types of players that exist. So if I run a monthly game, that's like, well, what's going on the players will ask you what's going on in your game this month.
Yeah.
And then they basically have to adapt to that or whatever the local game's thing is, right? So if they're like, well, we're having a moot, then you'll have a moot. This is the local villain. This is what's going on. In a much larger event game, that's not enough to really keep 100 players busy, and no ST can do that.
Generally, there's 4 or 5 checkboxes for types of story you want to have available. You want your political story?
Right. You need a political story. You got to have your Scooby-Doo characters have a Scooby-Doo plot.
What do you mean by Scooby-Doo plot?
There will always be a percentage of players who want to engage in investigation, in the unraveling of mysteries, into trying to
dig through what's going on.
They want to know what is the wizard behind the curtain, and that's always going to be there. So if your game is like all politics or all combat, and you haven't accounted for that, you can't tell a chunk of players you're just going to be bored at this event, because then you're just flailing.
The political players want to be left alone by the storyteller. They want to be given room to act, and they want to be left alone. They don't want to be forced to do things. That's your political segment of players. They just want to be left alone to play the table and play the game.
Yeah.
So Iggy. Iggy is the consummate political player. Anything the storyteller does is getting in the way and annoying this type of player.
It's just, I don't need you.
No.
It's irksome.
And that the pitfall there, much like not having a Scooby-Doo plot for the Scooby-Doo players, is trying to hand-wave it with an NPC. Your political players who want to okay, you have an event game, 7 Philodox are like, we are settling issue X. We are going into this room. Do not put an NPC Philodox in there to guide them. That is like the least of what they want. They don't, or 10 NPC Philodox.
Well, I would give them an NPC Philodox in the room to ask questions and guidance if they need it.
Or
not
just to have an ST there.
Yeah.
But not not anybody who can overrule them.
I wouldn't even do that. We don't need you. We're good.
I disagree. I saw some things with reports coming out of NCRE that the players were left to just figure out what to do at the start of the game.
I'm not talking about all the players.
Okay.
I'm just talking about your hardline political
There
players.
you go.
Again, your Scooby players are going to need an ST.
They're going to
walk
need
them
an
around.
SD per.
to
Because they're all
run
going to
around.
want to split off and do their own.
We'll
little
try to
thing.
get them into the mystery machine.
Then you have
That's a great way to put that.
Yes.
Then you have your murder ball
This
guys.
is our first rodeo. Right.
The murder ball guys are here to murder NPCs.
They have spent inordinate amounts of time planning and curating their sheet.
More than you ever will.
Right. They're going to bust out with stuff that's going to horrify you as they lay waste to your NPCs and wonder if that's even in the rules. And the thing is, they are as important as your investigative Scooby-Doo players. They're just as important as your political powerhouse players who want this to basically just be the Borgias or House of Cards or whatever, but you're all wearing werewolf masks.
Game of Thrones.
Right, Game of Thrones. Sure, it does whatever it is. You have to cater to everyone, and that isn't some sort of bizarre point on hyper inclusivity. There are certain archetypes of players. You're going to encounter this, and if you don't account for at least that core 3, your game is already incomplete.
You're already going, if you have 100 players in your game, you're already going to have 30 players leaving pissed off.
Right. If you
Don't-
haven't,
don't
if you
check
haven't
those
done
boxes.
one of those things, right, you're gonna needlessly have a whole bunch of players who are gonna. Certain amount of your players might go back to their local eatery after game or the bar and talk about how great your game was, and then you're gonna have the 30 other players who are gonna talk about what failure you were as an ST or an event runner or whatever.
Mhm.
I think the other one is also understand time. You have to, if you have 5 hours, right? You have let's say you
Single
have
slot 5-hour game.
single slot 5-hour game, right? You want in your third hour to be about halfway done. And that, honestly, is a twofold process. One is experience. I hate to say that, but just run more stuff so you start getting an idea. Like, you'll have a plot, and you're like, I think this plot will take months for the players to unravel. Then they crush it in a session, and you're like, I was wrong. I need to learn how long plots take, or in a night, or in a scene. And the other thing is playtest.
Yeah.
Work something at least analogous to what you want to do earlier into your STing or your monthly game to just get an idea. It doesn't have to be one-to-one. It's not even playtesting the same concept, but just being, I want this type of situation to happen. How long does that take 7 players to do? And if it turns out it takes 2 hours, right, you got to account for that if you only have a 5-hour game. If it turns out it takes them 5 minutes, that's as equal an important, calculation to make.
Almost every event game hangs on some conceit that feels original to its authors.
Wait, that's a line from Futurama. It took me half an hour to write, so I figured it would take half an hour to read.
Yeah.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
You're a plot, but
The problem is if your plot only exists inside your head and you haven't discussed it with anybody outside your circle of storytellers, then you are blind. You are going in blind.
I
In large
have to
part.
go back and hammer this point. Ideas are worthless.
Mhm.
They're absolutely worthless when it comes to running a
Did not
game
know it was made out of ideas.
or events. You have to do the work. You could show up with a notebook full of great ideas and they do nothing.
Mhm.
You have to have
Without execution and doing the
writing,
set-
execution,
prop
setup,
design,
playtesting.
music. Yeah.
You gotta plan all. You have to do the actual work. Everybody, especially in gaming, generally speaking, has between a bunch and an overwhelming glut of ideas that would be awesome. Then you have to actually work at them.
And a lot of time is shooting your beloved children. Like sometimes the idea that you thought would be the
Sophie's
core.
choice of plot.
Sometimes the story you thought would be the core of your event, you start breaking the event, you realize it doesn't work.
Oh, you have to be able to adjust on the fly.
We wrote it.
Absolutely.
We spent 3 months, 4 years ago, writing an event called the Goblin Market. Me and Bucky worked on this.
Oh,
Oh yes.
let's talk about something.
Oh well, no, this is the thing. This is about shooting your beloved, and that's that. There was some ideas behind this event about what was going on and why it would work. That when you break the plot down, you realize don't work. There's no way to execute it.
And we just had to let it go.
And you said let it go.
There was the kill conceit.
Mhm.
We basically made a conceit that there was some effect that people couldn't kill each other.
Mhm.
And we just let that hang. Even though we realized that there was basically no way to enforce it with the rules or make it actually work.
Well,
And
that was hanging a hat on it because basically we declared this event was a no combat, no conflict area.
right.
But we were also going strictly by the rules. This was revised Old World of Darkness.
We still hate custom mechanics. Always have hated custom mechanics. Or a wizard did it. You're in a pocket realm. That kind of garbage. Eventually, some players were like, I could just burn a willpower and just start killing people. We're like, yep. And then I remember one of them was at the bar. They just loudly started to pity you can't kill anybody in this LARP. We're like, no, you can say pity you can't do that.
It was a permanent willpower. That's what they had to spend. They had to spend a permanent willpower.
It was 3 XP.
Yeah, fuck that shit. But that's not a it's the
I
point.
get another version of that.
I'm sure.
No, the Wendigo game I've always wanted to run.
Yeah, you've had a game you've been working on for 16 years.
Yes.
No, I stopped working on it like 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay, but
You've been talking about.
Oh yeah. But I mean, I realized something years ago that you have to cater to your players, right?
Mm-hmm.
The players that I would want to play this game with could not play in the setting that I wanted to play without killing themselves.
That's fair.
running around in a forest at night.
Yeah, the game would. It's a horror game. You'd have to camp. It'd have to be somewhere remote, and I want to play the monsters. The monsters who I would hire, or like I'd have my friends to do buff ups, would only come out at night and do like scares. And I realized my friends might die.
Just run off a cliff.
They might just die.
All right, so
Let's. They have not.
They're quiet. I know they're still there. They're listening.
It doesn't look. It looks like.
I don't know if
quiet.
they're in rapt fascination
What is
or
that?
they just
What?
tuned
Where's
out.
what? That's just the preview window. It's
Okay.
nothing. All right, so guys, let's talk about what you need to do. What are the check boxes you need to hit for a con game? First off, what is my time slot? Is it in the morning?
Get a new time slot.
B, if in the morning,
get a new time slot.
throw a tantrum until they run you in the evening.
If in the morning, complain until you are not in the morning.
Also, don't do auctions in the morning. Do them at night when everyone's drunk.
Well, let's.
Just as a pro tip.
What am I?
It's what I do in my charity work.
What am I trying to accomplish? Now, in a continuing LARP, generally you have some goal you are trying to accomplish. Either pushing a new plot line, establishing a new plot line, resolving an IC issue, or in Apocalypse, murdering things. So you need to know which of these you're going to be going in for.
Right. I would say have plots,
Mhm.
and that's plural.
Mhm. Yep.
Because any one of these, even if it's just murdering things,
Yeah.
again, if you don't have plots for the other players, you're not running a complete game, right? You're doing one assistant VST's job.
So what you're saying is realize what your main plot is and which one of the categories it falls into.
Mhm.
Then get B and C plots for the categories that main
Right.
plot doesn't
At least
fulfill.
B and C. These are just the big three.
Now I know that when we're building a VSS for a con event, we give things like this numbers 1 to 10, and sometimes we'll say lower and higher and things like that. You still need to hit these boxes, even if you tell people there's not much politics in this game, whatever. You still have to leave room for the political, and by political we mean players doing stuff without you.
Generally speaking,
Yeah.
yeah. If a tribe wants to like hash it out, if the Philodox want to have it out, if the Arun want to figure out who's going to lead,
Mhm.
one of the here's
I'm gonna lead the fight.
here's one of the ironies about being an ST. If you do everything right, you should be pretty bored.
Once again, Futurama. You do everything right.
Right,
It seems like you've done nothing.
You haven't
at
done
all.
anything at all. If everyone's in a room, RPing the shit out of their scenes, really enjoying themselves, you might get real busy real quick. No lies.
Mhm.
But that's great.
And if you walk in with an NPC at that point, I will hate you forever.
Or if you say time stop and start playing multiple NPCs,
And
don't run
and
events.
it's a cutscene. I will hate you forever,
and
I
you
will
can't interfere with it.
and I will probably find your purse or car and poop
No.
in it.
I've heard that there are people who think specifically we're talking about them. I am talking about
I don't know.
20 plus years of LARPing where that has happened
let-
in multiple states.
I don't know enough of you well enough to mean any of you individually, so
Right.
this is just in general.
Don't take any of this personally.
Except you. You know who you are.
You know what you did.
Stare at the camera, look away.
Right. Now, telling an ST you have to be able to adapt on the fly is a hell of an instruction. That's like, hey, be an expert.
Oh, no, thank you.
Oh, what good advice?
Scroll down so they can see what you're typing.
Oh, yes.
Sorry.
So, questions to start with, now that you're actually starting to break the game, is first of all, who is in charge? Someone has to be in charge. You might have 3 guys who are on a team running the game. Somebody has to be in charge. And
Anybody but Brian.
that's fine, as long as somebody is in charge. Then that person needs to hire a staff. The best way to start is figure out what you're worst at and hire somebody who's really good at it to be your second. So, I hate running combat. Therefore, I hired Bucky to be my second.
Or like Wraith-related stuff. I was your go-to guy.
Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah.
or in a vampire game, it's like, oh, I've got the Giovanni want to do Giovanni things. I'm not the biggest fan of that clan. Or Striders. I am not up on my Striders. Anybody here play a Giovanni Assetite or played Wraith for a while? Willing to like help? Hire that person. Get that fanboy
Fill the
or
hole.
fangirl to like take their exuberance and love for whatever subgenre or niche you need.
Mhm.
Or somebody who's like really good at the downtime system, whatever it is, the influence subgame, whatever they're into.
Mhm.
Delegate, because their exuberance and their acumen, you're not going to be able to rival it. Certainly not in every aspect of the game.
Mhm.
And that delegation, that sharing of the responsibility helps a game ultimately, because the people in nobody's going to be in every single scene and in every room of any given
And you
event.
can't assume that you will be in any particular scene as the person who's narratively in charge, whoever's running the event. They should probably make it so they don't have to be in any particular scene.
Oh, which
Like,
I guess
if
will say,
possible,
you
yeah.
have to be able to delegate power.
Yeah.
And you have to empower your people to be able to make real decisions. You should have guidelines set out of what's, preferable.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, you don't want an ST to be like, well, I have to stop this scene, and we have to wait until somebody else gets out of their scene, so hit the restaurant.
You've all had that look on your faces, and you've all seen that look on people's faces.
Mhm.
When you're like, I can't run that scene, you've got to sit here. And I've had that happen because there's some things you can't delegate.
Like, even at the local game,
Yeah.
I'll be in AVST, and something that I've never run or never had exposure to, people ask about, and I'm like, who's curating that? And that's usually my first question. And, for example, some of it came out of the National Plot Kit. All I had to do was talk to our ST. I happened to have access to Brian at that point. I was like, give me the skinny. And then I was like, well, okay, I did know about this, so I can run that scene.
Mhm.
And try to make that pause as brief as possible, because the one thing people don't want to do, especially if they've driven many, many hours or flown or booked a hotel to play in your game, is to then be at the game not playing. That's awful.
I mean, I cannot play from home.
Right. I could not play anywhere.
I cannot play for free.
Yes. I don't need a badge to not play.
I definitely didn't have to dress up to not play.
Yes.
Right.
All right, so then you're writing the game.
Not playing does not require costuming.
Boom. Questions you need to answer when you're writing the game. Why does anyone care about this game? This needs to be the first
XP.
question you answer. Well, yes. Besides showing up in XP and maybe, socializing, which a lot of people want that.
Fetishes.
But why does anyone care about your event? Separate from that. Like, aside from just having an empty room where werewolves can walk in and do werewolf things.
You absolutely need player buy-in.
Okay.
That often requires months of pre-selling.
Mhm. Yeah.
Right? Like making sure that people are... You have to educate your consumers, right? Like, why does this event matter? Well, remember for the last 6 months, there's been all these arguments on the boards and in individual games about issue X. This is where issue X comes to a head. You'll pay for the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge.
What we're really talking about, in a lot of ways, it fits the dynamic of the wrestling pay-per-view, where like the storylines are set up in the episode in the base normal weekly episodes. Where, oh my God, X and Y, they're gonna go down. Oh my God, he put X in the hospital.
Turn heel.
Oh my God, and then you have your payoff for your big game. Yeah. So you want to have a reason why somebody cares, and then you want to make sure that people know the reason they should care. Like when somebody walks in the door, even if they're a new player can walk in the door and be like, I want to check this game out. They don't know what's going on. You want the more experienced player to turn to them and go, yeah, man, here's what's going on here. It's pretty intense.
Right.
Before the game even starts. So you need to get that out there.
Yeah, and it is, I guess, the pitfall here, because I guess I'm the boundless cynic and the naysayer, is make sure it's something that other people actually do care about.
Not just you. Yeah.
Not just you.
That's where I come in.
Yeah. Don't run an event for you, for the NPCs you wrote and love, and that no one else cares about.
Or plot line or location. It doesn't have to be a physical NPC person.
Well,
there can be all sorts of things that you care about that nobody else does.
It's a hell of a thing going to event games in other cities over the years, because I've been to everything from some of the best games I've ever been to some of the worst. And one common thread of the worst thing is that the local players are too nascent with expectation of what's going on. Everybody who's outside of the loop is just like,
what the fuck is happening?
Honestly,
why
one of the best.
Why do we even care about this?
One of the best games I've ever been to was a regular, and this is a different thing, but it was a regular just game. But it was out. It was a game that was not local. We drove to it. It was a regular game. We showed up, and it got turned into an event game specifically because people from out of town all simultaneously decided to show up
randomly. And the ST riffed on it and made a story out of it.
It riffed on, and then the locals. So the people who came out from other games, they came for one specific purpose, and there were a couple who had like 2 reasons to be there. But the locals basically had no idea we were showing up except for 2 of them.
Yeah. And
then when they saw us all here, instead of the locals being too messing with expectation and the people from out of town like not giving a fuck, it's the out of towners had a reason to be there, and the locals were in a panic trying to figure out what that was.
Well, it's good when you can just import energy into a game.
Shout out to Cleveland, by the way. That was a good game.
So they just showed up, and they had no idea what was going down, and it turned into just an affair. So it turned into an affair to be at, and I plan on doing that again. We have to do that.
Oh yeah, we're gonna crash the games. I was gonna crash Toronto today, but my card kind of died on me.
And
how would you get back here in time if you crashed Toronto today?
I don't know.
I got contacts at the border, yo.
That's true.
Do you have contacts at an auto dealership or a mechanic?
No. If my car hadn't died.
I know. I'm saying maybe you should fix your car.
No, Debbie has those contacts. She's working on it.
You have to have the right info.
All right. No. The other thing is, what are my limitations? Space. If you're running in one room, you can't run a game where your players are in 50 different places and they can't see each other. You can't do a big gathering if you can't put more than 20 players in a room. These things sound simple, but so many storytellers forget to ask about the space they're going to get.
I'm going to say something stupid.
Yeah.
Do not ever plan a game for outside. The weather will fuck you.
Well, it's the same thing.
Plan a game with outside. Yeah, but a lot planning a wedding for a lot of people is a once or maybe twice in a lifetime affair, right? After your 3rd wedding, people are just like, we're getting pizza.
What you're saying is plan a game that could run outside.
Could be outside, has outside access.
Yes.
And then could run inside. And I know that seems like a small thing, but it sucks if it rains on your event, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
Or unless you can work it into your event that it's raining and make players suck it up.
No one ever sucks it up. These are people who are using their phones for their sheets. They're using paper for their sheets. Nobody brings an umbrella for their costume.
Pandemonium.
This is a game where we have trouble making people not go for smoke breaks, let alone walk around in the woods.
But the big thing is know your space and play into it. Play into the strengths of your space. If you have a couple small rooms, create something claustrophobic. Create paranoia about what other players are doing.
If you see your space, right, and you've been writing your game, and you're told you're giving conference room B, and it has an actual conference room table,
you need to work that into your game.
Work a conference into your game.
Yeah.
That's the Primogen table. It's where the Auspice Council all they're sitting. They can pick one person.
Those fancy wheelie chairs.
Yeah.
And their whips stand behind them.
you need to use your space and then use in most places.
Are we back to props now?
We're touching on props right here. You're gonna want to use small. If you don't have a budget, if you don't have much of a budget to work with, pick 1 or 2 things to accentuate what you want your space to do. Like if it's a conference or people are meeting and it's a vampire game, create accents of what clan or what location is. Give little accents. You obviously can't go all out with set dressing. You have things you need to say.
While respecting the masquerade.
Oh, but there is a thing that
unless it's a bar.
This is another don't. I love music. I love music live. I love music piped in, whatever. But at a game like this, I'm coming to talk to other people, and if I cannot hear them, I will leave the room with them, and you will lose us.
Oh
Like-
yeah, you should know the difference between environmental like music
Ambient,
for
you need
airports.
And
ambient.
there's that level where it's not like club level, like clearly we don't have it like the bass dropping. But no, there's a level where I have to start raising my voice to be heard, and then everybody else has to raise their voice to be heard, and then now we're yelling, and I will win the yelling match.
You want just enough ambient music to break up conversations into so people.
So I can't hear what they're saying.
Right. You want just enough ambient music or noise. You can work with noise as well
Mhm.
to just create audio space for people to be
And please don't let it be water dripping. I will just have to go to the bathroom.
in.
This is awful.
Water sounds are mixed.
We do a whole episode on working with the space you're given. There's a lot to say about that. But another thing people often overlook is time. If you have a 4-hour slot and you're running a werewolf game, you know you're going to have a 2-hour combat. You need to work around that.
Yeah.
Your plot needs to be stone. If you're going to run something that's based on a plot, then finding something to murder it. That plot needs to be stone simple and dealt with in the first 30 minutes, right? I mean,
Well, I mean that's not necessarily. You
Okay.
have to figure out how you're going to tackle your combat. It doesn't mean that you necessarily need to.
you can have it not be a
Simple.
2-hour combat.
Right, you can have it not be a
I thought that
2-hour
was
combat.
half the point of the game is that we can't stop ourselves from devolving into stabbing.
No, but it's ways of dealing with the stabbiness. For example, if your murder plot, right, is going to happen and it's probably going to take a while because it involves a lot of like really important things and really big bads and stuff like that. Make sure it doesn't happen at the scene of or the same site as the main game. This way, you don't actually have to time stop the entire goddamn LARP for the one combat.
Mhm.
Right? There's no really good reason to do that. Like if you're at the cairn, right, and everybody's in the heart having this big meeting, have the big combat out on the lawn.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, and enforced
I don't
time bubbling. It's like, well, we try to get there. It's like, don't tell them you won't get there in time. Just be like, you sure you want to do this?
You have, and it's not. Sometimes it will make you friends as a storyteller.
It will lose you, friends.
But you have to.
Absolutely.
But to run a great, I'm not saying the games I run are great, but to run a good con event, you have to take strong positions.
You've run some
Sometimes.
great games. You've run some great
Because
games.
I've been on both sides of a kill box,
Mhm.
and it's really helpful when the STs are soft-hearted and let your friends get there to save you. But it's really irritating having constructed a perfect kill jig, and then just like, oh, all we have to do is separate player A from his bodyguards B, C, and D. It's like they're 30 minutes away at a different locale. It's like, well,
They're gonna get here around 4.
Yeah, that's insane. Like, I specifically planned this to murder him.
Well, that's something about the shared reality. You need to be clear about that sort of thing. That's one of the reasons that MES is so particular about how they handle kill boxes and cons. You need to be registered and logged and things like that. Almost every con does that now. We're talking about kill boxes.
I hate it, but
I know. But sometimes you just randomly, in the spur of the moment, you find an opportunity and you need to
just
kill
say
somebody.
You're like, wait, are we alone in a room right now? Do I still hate you?
But
You are not surviving.
there's something that they're talking about in the chat
Yeah.
that I think is apt. I'm a punctual person. I believe in punctuality. Some people don't. And there's that common joke about gamer time. I'm sure you guys have heard it. It's like, oh, gamer time's at least
Not for an event.
Yeah,
No.
and you cannot
No.
do that in an event.
If you're late, your character showed up late.
Well, and it should have, and
If they
honestly,
get to show up at all.
honestly, it should have icy consequences. And like,
Absolutely.
like,
you missed
oh-
the opening of the moot.
if
You weren't here.
if you weren't there to greet the queen, she throws shade your way. That's what happens.
Yeah, apparently she wasn't important
Queens
enough.
can be late. You cannot.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
At a monthly game, it makes less of a difference, especially since your end time is a lot more, negotiable.
Yeah, usually in a con game, you have a hard stop point.
Right,
You have
because
to end
somebody
this-
else needs that room to play maybe a totally different system in game.
They have to rebuild the site and everything. You need to be out by that time.
Right. There's breakdown. There's a lot of things going on. So you have to be thoughtful, and that thoughtfulness is, again, a LARP isn't on the STs entirely, or even mostly. They're grossly outnumbered by players. So the responsibility of players and what they have to do to make the game good is just as important as what the ST does. And if part of that is actually showing up to the game on time, you got to do it.
Well,
especially if you're at a hotel 2 floors above where the game is.
Yeah, no, and
Like,
that's the thing. And I mean, like, the SD has some control over factors, like we were saying earlier. If you get a morning slot, complain.
It's
that there's
rough.
not more
Yeah,
slot.
no, it's
But if your slot's in the morning and the game starts at 9 o'clock and you want to play in that game tomorrow at 9 o'clock, maybe don't get shithoused. Just throw that out there.
right,
Or show up with a hangover like a big boy. I don't know.
The other thing, and this is a very careful thing storytellers need to handle, is player knowledge base. You can't assume that everyone has White Wolf lore 10. So you need to make sure that your plot or your storyline at your game can be explained and be reasonable in like 2 sentences to somebody who has no idea what the hell is going on. There are monsters and we need to kill them is a werewolf version that often works, but you can make that a little more artful. But it shouldn't be.
It could even be part of the deep politics of it. Is the person in charge is here?
Mhm.
What do?
Yes.
That's 2 sentences, 2 pretty bad ones, but it is 2 sentences. That's enough. That's enough to tell it to a new player or somebody who.
I mean, you add layers of depth that more experienced players can find and understand. But the basic, what do we have to do now that we're here, needs to be stone simple.
And I will address some comments there. Steve.
Yeah.
Is it safe if the con doesn't have breaks between games? I've seen back-to-back game blocks where it's like Vampire World. Hold on. People being penalized for showing up late leads to people skipping food and passing out or bringing food into game spaces, etc. And someone else said, my costume changes sometimes take an hour. It's a real problem. And I'm like, I totally understand that. You're gonna have to pick. You're gonna have You're gonna have to pick. If the games have to have breaks between the blocks, that means there'll be less games played.
Mm-hmm.
That's just there'll be less game or less games played.
Yeah.
The blocks can go back to back, and you can either make it so that your character can have an acceptable reason for being late, accept the consequences for being late, or you need to pick. I often go to sleepaway camping gaming events that have multiple nightlife events, and I have to choose.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just. And I mean, this is a whole week of my life that I'm going
Especially
away.
the boffer stuff.
And
Yeah, you could
pick.
try to party and boffer LAR 24/7 for 5 days straight,
And you'll die.
and
Well, I think.
it's a terrible life decision.
Well, the other issue is if the games are running back to back to
Yeah.
back to back, and you're going to have a large segment of your players coming into the game a half hour to 45 minutes late. The problem is if you have a 4-hour slot, that means that the first quarter of your game needs to be hot swappable. It needs to be not unnecessary. It needs to be soft RP and delicate. You
have to backpack all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And
like they were saying, it's not all on the ST. Some of this has to be on the players, and the players may have to choose. So I mean, like, are we going to start forward loading the games so that we can start playing the games at noon? Because when I was at the events, at the cons, I was up. The one event that we went to, Sierra, was it? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was up at 8 every day. At the latest, I was up and moving by 9.
Well, we weren't up drinking all night though, except for when we were.
Yeah, and then I showed up with a hangover.
We're exceedingly good at
alcohol, water. Just throwing that out there.
Well, we're talking about writing and building an event. There's a whole other angle for players, though.
But this is part of building an event because you're building the event not for the players. You're building the event with the players. And you can have the perfectly constructed game event. You can have the perfect setting. And if no one shows up for the first 45 minutes, you're playing with yourself, and the pun is intended.
Yes, it's true. I mean, you can spend 1,000 hours writing a LARP, but if players don't show up, you just wrote 1,000 hours of something you can't sell, and it's just sitting there. I know it's tough.
Well, so we have to come to like a consensus where it's like, well,
the costuming thing, despite my general stance of costuming, I do understand. You do have to make allowances for. If it is a back-to-back session, you should tell the people in the next session, look, I got to go up in costume.
But see, the thing is, the first session, all the best stuff happens at the end of that session. Mm-hmm. So while everything's resolving, you're gonna walk away and costume switch. That is harsh.
It's rough. The one thing that I have less sympathy for is the people who are playing until they fall down.
Vitriol's a pro. You're a pro. Coconut water, you've done this before.
Yeah.
You know what's up.
This is a game ostensibly played by adults. Right? You have to be 18 or over to be an MES. You are an adult. You can vote. You can join the military. If the game's being too close together is a threat to your health, you might need a different hobby
or pick. Just pick.
Again,
I think you're laying it on a little too hard on these people. I mean, honestly, they're amazing costuming with amazing.
I'm not talking about costuming. I'm talking about people who are foregoing food and sleep to just
I don't-
game more.
I keep
If
for- I keep- I
you're
keep
doing
forgetting-
that to the detriment of your health, you really need to consider what is happening
I keep,
there
I
and
keep
deal
forgetting
with it.
who
Also, as an
Alexia is, but they're amazing. And one of the things that they said is, I don't understand the 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. blocks. Like, no, that time is for drinking and sleeping. Sometimes both. That should not be for gaming.
we used to do overnight blocks for horror games, but we weren't after anything. We just wanted to be late at night so we could also drink.
And players would be tired.
And-
We'd be
And
scared
we
against them.
wanted players.
It's a lot
to be
easier to
tired.
scare people when they're half asleep.
And drunk.
Oh
And
my
drunk,
god.
yeah.
it's
And
so much
in the middle of 3 in the morning is the scariest time because
is.
bad things happen.
Hour of the
They're-
wolf, yo.
That's good.
Yeah.
Don't game until you fall down. Period. Don't do it.
The buffer weirdness that I do is having a bunch of threads right now about, because there's the event that they're talking about. They talk about scheduling.
Right.
They talk about effective costuming. They talk about having enough to do for, because there's non-coms. There's people. They're just like this. There's people who don't do combat. There are people who only do combat. There's a few people who do both. Who often, if you do both, you have to pay.
Yeah.
Because if the combat's going on over there, but somebody's naming a successor to a title over here, you as a character and a player have to choose which one of those you're going to be a part of. So that's you. You're already making choices.
All right, audience, give me a 2-sentence plot. Here we go. We're doing this. We're doing it live. Give me some ideas. What we have a con event. What is this con event going to be about? Otherwise, we'll just have Iggy do it.
You really don't want that.
I've got the appropriate amount of tequila to break a game, so I'm ready to go.
They're still talking about ice water and coffee.
Well, those are all good
And
things.
those are all very important things. But it's like,
Werewolf versus gazebos is not a thing.
that's not 2 sentences either.
That's these are two. You have to answer in the form of 2 sentences.
One of the shared Karens is finally old enough to become a new great Karen.
Oh, okay, I can see that.
And I'm using the next person's because it was 2 sentences and nobody gave me 2. Nope, sorry, somebody slipped a sentence in between your 2 sentences.
Give me what's the second sentence.
Spirit possesses vampires and desires to manipulate all the supernaturals into a war.
Okay. At the same time, spirit possesses supernaturals to force them into a war.
Foment would be.
Oh, foment. That's good. That's good.
Cool.
How about the
Now,
foment?
those were
start-
2 different people, and the same person who wrote the first one said that the worm wants to destroy it before it's too late.
Well, that's what you
yeah,
said.
of course they do.
Yeah.
Alexia, who's amazing, says an unknown woman is seeking aid. Promises of. See, this is. Oh no. We're using this sentence as well.
Okay.
Go back.
We're going
down.
3 sentences. Okay.
Go back down because this is
3
great.
sentences.
An unknown woman. So you have a mystery player. You have a question mark. Not a player, but a player, as in like a player has entered the game. An unknown woman is seeking aid, promising riches and desires. But what cost will it be to the players to achieve these dreams? So this is like a third. Like, all right. So you have the. This is a fae.
The problem with that fae. This is a different conversation, and
Well, these are.
This is your Scooby Doo plot.
No.
the
This
problem
is-
with your needful things fae is players are players, and you could say, well, all I want is the memory of your childhood, and it'd be like, what do I get? +1 on grapple. Not enough because I didn't write my childhood. Did it? Like there are players who play to lose, and that stuff matters. But
No,
my god.
Then you need a clever ST who's all like, well, the memory of your childhood includes a bunch of your abilities.
Right, but then you're just trying to gotcha your players. You'll get one, and then they'll be the person whose sheet got fucked.
Yeah, fuck them.
Because he said yes to what you were offering.
That's not an event, right?
No, this is for the Scooby Doos. The first 2 are the.
I disagree.
Okay,
that's
you
not
can.
that's not a Scooby
You
Doo
can.
plot.
We disagree with your mustache.
All right. So right now we have 3 unfocused sentences. Let's try to put this together. On the eve.
Werewolves have to stop LARPers from playing themselves to death.
No. On the eve of the first seed shard cairn growing to become a great cairn, a mysterious woman appears on the bond.
Oh, hang on.
Hand.
No.
Surrounded
I disagree.
by
You can't.
mind-controlled minions. But who is controlling who?
hang on. We want a mystery person, right?
Okay.
And again, this is part of the organic process to make games good. So we've got a big supernatural event where the spirits are trying to do something crazy. It probably went wrong, or it's worm tainted, or whatever, and all your spirit possessed pseudo vampire Fomori are now about to go apeshit. Why not make this third party, instead of just some sort of temptation MacGuffin, be a self-interested third party who's caught in the middle of this? Something that is
Something
either
about the Cairn
there's a
becoming.
Cairn, there's a vampire Fomor army, and Miss Riches and Powers and Needful Things' house is in the middle.
Something about the seed Cairn becoming a great Cairn is destabilizing and threatening these other local supernaturals.
Right. They clearly.
Alright, so they seem unhappy about the concept, and I'm just going to posit one thing, and suddenly they'll think this is a brilliant idea. Who wants to watch me do this? Okay, anyway, watch. She's a wraith, and this has something to do with her fetters in the city.
No.
No, it's still
You
garbage.
guys love it, and you don't want to admit it.
No.
It's still good. The problem is that for so much of these needs. Okay.
She doesn't. Why does she have to be needful thingsy?
Again, we're gonna call it.
Promising riches and powers. That's that trope.
Yeah, and the terms of exchange can be more concrete than my childhood memory.
Right. I'm telling you, we tried to run a whole game with this as a theme. It doesn't work. It breaks down on almost every conceivable level.
Hang on,
Am I getting 1-for-1 in XP? Then I'm just re-sheeting. Right? If I'm losing out, then you're only going to gotcha like one player. Right? If you're winning out, because it's stuff that you haven't actually written or put in your background, then it becomes just a meaningless grab for just authorized bonuses that you're willing to get. Is there a fourth angle?
Yeah, this taints you and punishes you down the line.
Right, because I've definitely seen that actually work out to matter.
It did.
It really did.
It
It really, really did.
super did.
For multiple PCs, that literally didn't matter.
All right,
Didn't even make the cut.
here is revision C. On the eve of the first shard Cairn becoming a great Cairn, the Cairn's totem has seemingly gone insane, turning Geru and Farah against each other and threatening to cause an open war to break out. But why?
There's your Scooby-Dooers. They're gonna go find out. They're gonna go try and
And
see
what?
can be done.
And no.
We've got 2/3 of your game engaged. As long as things are getting murderous, you've got your kill teams involved. If you've got something behind the scenes,
offers.
Why don't you guys ever just divvy this up by what the auspices typically do and make sure there's something to occupy them all?
No, you don't want to do that.
Why?
You want to go by pack. You don't want to go by auspice.
No, you just go by the auspice rolls and let the packs decide which way they're gonna go.
Because there's whole packs that'll like devote themselves to just Scooby-Doo. It's not.
Yeah, and they can go there.
Yeah, but you don't want to make it auspice specific.
No, but you use the auspice rolls as your guideline.
Well,
But that's 5 sub.
Well, let's once we have a base plot, then we can move on. So Bucky, respond. Also, we shit on each other's ideas constantly. We are also reflexively shitting on your ideas. Doesn't mean we don't like them. It's just what we do. Bucky, next
I've been
version.
shitting on their ideas for.
All right,
I
give me
hate
your
everyone.
give me your next version. It's good.
Right. Okay. So you have the opening of Shard Cairn to a Great Cairn.
Yes.
Right. Independently of that,
Oh, okay.
it is completely unrelated.
It is a night of celebration.
Right. This is not foreboding. This isn't breaking the
Shifters
cycle.
from around the world have gathered to celebrate the creation of the first new Great Cairn since the Age of Apocalypse.
Nothing bad will happen.
No, I'm going the other way. On the other end of the VSS,
Okay.
you have your spirit vampire plotline.
Mhm.
Maybe it might not even be we're going with spirits, so let's go with some sort of new expression of Fomori vampires, mixes of both. You can do that with
Or a
stock
god.
NPCs.
Got it.
Sure, you can do all sorts of crazy shit.
Name of Saruman on me.
They're gonna fuck up the entire east side of this city, right? By attenuating that, right, and making it unrelated, you also include now all 3 factions, right? So
Well, give me your second sentence. Just give it to me. What was your second sentence? Shifters have gathered from around the world to celebrate the creation of the first new great carrot since the Age of Apocalypse. Period.
On the other side of the city,
On the other side of the city,
Spirits of the Worm, I don't know, at the behest of somebody,
for reasons unknown,
have turned an entire community college into Fillmore vampires or something.
this is garbage. Okay.
It doesn't. What's happening
Why?
on the other side of the city?
Why?
Yeah,
Right.
no.
No. Why this? Why is this?
Those
Why?
were the sentences we got. We
No.
got spirit.
No, we just got
Possess.
this. No, this. Like, why is this? Like, what is that supposed to accomplish? Who for that?
It's unrelated to
No.
everybody.
If
it's
it's
not
far-
interesting. It's pretty generic, actually. Like, they're monsters.
We're
Go beat
dealing
up
with
the
this.
monsters.
It's the physical distance from the. You're trying to pull people away from the event game. That's
Right.
bad for the game, isn't it?
But you've got two things going on. Then you have your third variable, which is this person that needs help for some reason and needs to either. There's two options going on. So the first thing is your fighting people can just see a fight and want to fight it. Your Scooby-Doo people can want to figure out why it's happening. But more importantly, your political people get to decide whether or not they care.
They don't.
They might not, but that's still something for them to argue as players. And then you have your unknown woman with promises of riches and whatnot who wants, for one reason or another, either to stop this or drag them into a trap or whatever the real twist behind what's actually happening.
I mean, she's using the rise of the energy.
I know it's generic. This is literally an example.
I know.
She's using the rise of energy and the great karn to force herself into a god.
Where's the horror, Bucky?
This isn't a horror game. This is a werewolf game.
No, but
No, come on, do it.
You engage all three parts of your player base. I didn't say it was good.
good.
I just said it was
Good.
an
You
example.
did say that.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
All right, I'm gonna go.
You guys.
All right, I think sentence one is solid. We've got a good first sentence. Okay. But we have to make the other part link into this and have something to do with it. Otherwise, it's just also there are dinosaurs. I mean, that is really the second sentence. There is dinosaurs right now.
Well, I don't know what the answer to the Scooby-Doo plot is. I only know what the symptom of the Scooby-Doo plot is. And the symptom of the Scooby-Doo plot
Is monsters.
is spirits possessing things,
Right.
right? Into some sort of new super monster.
Vampires show up and they want to help.
Why that's
Or
actually
they want to
happening?
help.
Why that's actually happening should probably have to do with the mysterious woman who's promising
No.
witches.
An enemy suddenly becomes friendly and seems to want to do everything in their power to make sure that the great Karen rises.
The local vampires seemed. I'm sorry. The local leeches seem to have taken an inordinate amount of interest in this celebration,
And a protective one at that.
and a protective one at that. That is good to see where that goes. What if there's like a Methuselah sleeping under the cairn that turning into a great cairn will wake it up or something?
You don't know. Or maybe they just realized with every shift in the world, now's not the time for everybody to step on the line. The Sabbat's going to run at them. They're like, you know what? Let's give the werewolves here every opportunity to wipe out our Sabbat problem for them and just concentrate on covering the mess.
Well, this at least
That's a
plays into BNS themes of we're supposed to trust the vampires now, but I really don't.
I mean, that's a great example of something to be done in a plot, but it's not based on what we were provided by the
No, it
audience
absolutely
members.
is.
Yeah.
What was the second sentence? Remember?
Spirits possess vampires?
Yes.
Yes.
It's a spirit. It's what's that level of dominate that makes your descendants do things?
Right, like Father Knows Best or whatever, yeah. Like some
All of a sudden, vampires locally are like, I don't know why I'm being drawn here and why I'm helping the werewolves. This is so scary. Why am I near them? I feel compelled to help you.
honestly, if a bunch of fucking vampires
So
start
where's the
showing,
third thing?
well, no, there's only two sentences, Bucky. It's two
I
sentences.
thought we had to work with three.
No, it's two sentences. Two sentence plot. That was
So
the
there's no mysterious woman.
The mysterious one will come in when we break the story. But this is our basic summary.
It's changing the rules on me.
I am because that's
Go with it.
This
Where's the
lesson.
flexibility?
all right. So vampires have just started showing up, and they're standing outside and they're guarding. They're running.
They don't even
security.
have to. They don't even have to physically stand outside.
Right.
That's too easy. The glasswalkers locally are all like, all our influences are getting bumped and shielded, and we don't know who's doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
What
exactly.
the fuck is
You
that
have
about?
the indicia of being helped.
Yes.
Yeah, like someone's helping us.
Yes.
Now, they have to think, are they helping us because what we're doing is destroying us? Are they helping us because what we're doing is going to help them? If it's helping them, do we want to help them? What are they trying to accomplish that making a great cairn is going to help them? Is there something we don't, because this is the first great cairn that's being made.
Right.
Have some crazy person prophesize that something bad will happen.
Right.
Like, there can only be 13, so if you raise one.
What does that mean? What does that mean for the balance of power in the nation for there to be a 14th cairn? There's huge political questions about there being a 14th cairn. Yeah.
Oh no, that's, I mean,
Do they get a
raising a
counselor?
cairn-
Like, what happens with that?
raising a cairn definitely should involve everybody anyway. It's-
So, political questions. A new cairn. What does
Who's
that
it going to
mean?
be to?
Yeah.
Right. Because whoever it's to probably has basically more
we
cachet.
already have the totem of the cairn.
Yeah.
We don't know if a cairn going from a shard cairn to a great cairn keeps the same totem. We don't know that for a fact.
Yeah.
We don't know that if
No one's ever done it.
what if it's to a totem that is to something that has a bias towards one camp or another, or has no bias and they're trying to sway it towards one camp and another.
Owl or rat? Well, owl's independent anyway. Rat and
What does this mean to the Sancta Concordant split? If
Mhm.
you know, because they each control 7 cairns.
What if
6 cairns?
what if the incarnate spirit is one of the pharaoh?
Yeah. Or what if it's a tribal totem? What if it declares it's
Falcon,
Falcon?
baby. It's Falcon.
Oh.
yeah.
Well, Falcon, I think people could deal with, but what if it's Grandfather Thunder? What if it's one of the
That would get the same amount of hate as Falcon.
possibly
What if it's bear?
Yeah.
Just
It's
straight
bear? Yeah. Especially with the Garo Nation saying that Fair don't really have cairns right now, and
So
all of a sudden
now we have a
every
cairn.
Yeah.
And because every bear shifter in the world is going to shift. There's
Right.
literally no excuse for them to not to. So every bear shifter in the world shows up. This is a werewolf cairn. The world's like, okay, we're running
You're not
security.
allowed in the heart.
Yeah, we're running security. Calm down. And every bear shifter in the world's like, we are now. Like, this is the sticking point.
Yeah, and this is a political thing that's we want to triumph for the nation, but it can also be a moment that tears the nation.
This could be the
absolutely
spark
apart.
of another. What if there's a camp or a group of people that like, you realize once they have a great cairn, they're going to demand full membership. Maybe they shouldn't be a great cairn.
What if there are
That gets dark real
What if there are
fast.
players who want to quietly sabotage it because they don't think the nation can handle a 14th cairn? Right
We can
now?
barely handle it politically, handle it emotionally, or handle it militarily. We don't have the resources to protect the 13 and all the shards we have. If this is a 14th great cairn, we can't run from it. What if it's situated in a terrible place, like right next to a bunch of blights, like some place where it will be hammered again and again all day long, and we can't walk away from this one. This will be a Pyrrhic victory.
Right.
We can't let this become any other one, like the ones that are in Gainey or the Adirondacks,
Totally off
or,
screen.
or somewhere that we can protect.
Yeah.
That's fine. But can we have a great cairn rise in the middle of the blights of Pittsburgh?
Right.
Do you really want this to happen? Because it will be a beacon for damage all day, every day. And this will bleed the nation dry.
You're functioning mostly on the first sentence.
Yeah.
That's the okay.
He's still upset about that. We
Just integrate them as it's just a mental image of the game. Just we have that now.
Okay.
Okay. Don't worry too much about that now. We've got it. What makes the Scoobies happy about this? What the hell is going on with the vampires? That's easy.
Oh yeah. Well, the Scoobies have a ton of stuff they can do.
Yeah.
What totem is it going to be?
Yeah.
They might not be able to find. Again, that's one thing about your Scooby plots. You should generally bait the hook with enough that they could actually catch and get some useful information to return to the game.
I'm gonna look at this.
But some of it should be dead ends. Like you don't know, and there is no way to tell.
I'm gonna look. You have instead of giving them no answers, I would give them three possibilities.
Yeah.
And then let them pick their
Could it
favorite.
be bears or cats?
It's like
or
what happens when this becomes a great cairn? It keeps the same totem and it's super powered. It allows 2 totems. It picks a new totem. You get to whoever leads the ritual gets to pick the new totem.
Oh, that would get your political players fucking going ape
And
shit.
we don't know if it's true, but can you risk it being true and not putting your man in that position?
Right. No, that creates an incredible impetus to make sure that whoever's there
So
needs.
I'm gonna look at auspiciously. 1, Aruns. They're there to make sure this great cairn happens. The fighty ones. They're thinking defense. Okay, so who's gonna be in charge of this? The local wormful. This is too big for local wormful business. Plus, when it becomes a shared cairn, when it becomes a great cairn from a shared cairn, does the set that belong to it automatic since it's transforming? Is it the same step that's formed around it?
These are great questions.
This is all new territory.
Oh
and
no, that's what I'm saying. Your political players are going to be.
This is all new territory, and
the
the rank 5 R one's going to be like, you need to sit down, little wormful rank 3. This is my job. You should cede power to him. Like I can see a rank 5 from outside of the game going to the rank 3 from inside the game. That's the wormful going. We can't afford not to put our best man on this, and I'm the better person for this. Yes. So that's the defensive aspect. Then the Gallards are looking into the legends of all, like they're digging into the lore of what the possible aspects and outcomes of this are.
Because there's no precedent, but
There's
maybe there's something in
There's
deep
a
history
hint.
that maybe
There's a hint somewhere.
That's an aspect of the Scoobies.
Yeah, and there'll be Gallards and the Scoobies because they have all the abilities.
You'll have everything in the Scoobies. So probably have Theurges.
Then you have the Philodoxes where, like,
They tend to be more political.
They're Knight of the Long Knivesing over the possible political ramifications of this. I could see Shadowlord Philodoxes going, can we afford this? And I can see Silverfang Philodoxes be like, can we afford this? And can we afford to get our hand caught in the cookie jar of making this not happen? Because we're not as good at
Hey, that's going grimdark. I don't think a game would go that way. I don't think there's enough players to pull off that kind of cabal.
I think we are weak on PvE right now. What more do we have PvE? The vampires are not. So I have another faction of leeches appeared, maybe some trusted gangrel. Appears and warns that the other vampires are all slaves and or plotting a trap.
Yeah,
and I think that works well.
Well, there has because I mean in the old system, and I don't even know if it cares.
I'm calling her the sleeper, by the way.
In the old system, when you made a Cairn, what happened?
Every worm creature in the universe came to go murder face. Does that same thing happen now? We don't know. We should be ready though. We need to be ready.
Yep. There's your PvE. There's your PvE possibilities.
Yeah.
Well,
that's great.
That's what
Do we know if this works like Cairn raising? All hell is gonna break loose.
Where the hell did all the goddamn bears came from? Liking the idea of a great Cairn in a really bad locale.
Yeah.
Your Cairn becomes Troy. Scroll down, please. They're asking.
Oh, let's see.
Oh no, these are all good, and that's the thing. And